Hi, my name's Andy and you're watching the Andy's Finally Got a Haircut Club. Hey guys, welcome back. So as you can see, I finally got a haircut and I've gotten rid of the quarantine hair. I got that Kim Jong-un look going for me right now. But anyways, today's Friday, or it will be. I'm actually recording this on Thursday night, but it will be Friday by the time you see this video. So it's Friday and let's take it easy. And I just want to say thank you all for the love and support that you've given me for the past few months. And this channel has grown quite a lot since, just last time, just a month ago. I think a month ago we had like less than 500 subscribers and we gained like 200-300 subscribers just in the time that I've been talking about, all these stocks and I've launched Watch This Stock. So yeah, thank you guys for all the support that you've given me. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for commenting and hitting the like button. It really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. Now with being said, please hit the like button on this video as well. And yeah, so today I actually want to do something a little different. I want to mix it up a bit, and we're going to actually do our first ever Q&A. So the way that it works is that you guys can comment down below all the questions that you want me to answer, and they don't necessarily have to be finance related. They could be anything, even about my personal life. Now, if you guys don't want to ask a question publicly, of course, you can always reach me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll leave my links down below in the description as always, and you can check out my Twitter and Instagram handle and send me a DM at those places. Yeah, so usually what happens is that if somebody asks a question on a YouTube video that I made, I usually just hit the reply button and I just reply right away. But for organization's sakes, I think I'm just going to let the questions roll in for a week and I'm not going to reply to any of the comments right away. And I'm just going to let it collect for a week and then pick some questions that I like and then address them in a follow-up video probably a week from now. And guys, please try to keep it respectful and only ask questions that you would actually think that I would actually answer. So don't just be like,
"Hey Andy, why are you such a moron?"
That question, although valid, I would not be answering. So now you're probably wondering, what are we going to talk about today then if we're going to have to wait a week for the Q&A video? Well, today actually I'm going to talk about multiple things and we're just going to sit down and have a conversation about money in general. And I think this is very important to your road to FIRE because in order for you to actually achieve FIRE, you actually got to understand how money works in our society. And I think you got to have the right mindset to approaching money, right? So if any of what I said just seems really vague, just let me elaborate, right? So first of all, I want to share a story that I read recently. I know this story came out a few days ago, but when I read this article, it really made me sad. So I read a story about a Robinhood trader who apparently was down $700K on his Robinhood account, and that was one of the factors that led him to take his own life. And now guys, what I have to say to this is money comes and money goes, right? So don't take this so seriously. I know that here on this channel I talk about investing and I take investing really seriously, but whatever money you're talking about is not worth your life, guys. Like, come on, this story makes me really sad. So to illustrate my point, actually on today's way to get the haircut, I actually got a parking ticket. So my $30 haircut that you see here actually became a $70 haircut. So thank you, parking enforcement officer, for giving me such an expensive haircut. I'm not bitter at this at all, as you can see. But in all seriousness though, the reason why I brought up this parking ticket is to illustrate the fleeting nature of money, right? So I didn't expect to spend an extra $40, but I got slapped with a $40 fine just for parking. I think I parked too close to an intersection and that's why I got this ticket. Now, just within that half an hour that I was in there getting a haircut, I was down another $40. Now, if you're a stock market investor or a day trader especially, you can make or lose $40 in just a matter of seconds, literally, right? Like milliseconds even. So here's what I mean, right? Money comes and money goes and money is really fleeting. So it's really not worth your life, obviously. And it's not worth getting like so caught up about that you would do something super drastic like this person who was trading on Robinhood did. And what I read from the article is that it's not even like a real thing. He didn't actually lose $700K. It was just like a bug in the software over the weekend or something that showed that he was down $700K, but he actually wasn't down nearly that much. But even if he was, in a situation like this, you could always declare bankruptcy. So I know bankruptcy is a huge black mark on your record, and certainly you're gonna have to, if you declare bankruptcy, you're gonna have to try and dig yourself out of the hole for years and years. But obviously, eventually you would be able to dig yourself out, and it's not like a death sentence, right? So the law here in North America, in both Canada and the US, is designed so that you're not shackled to your debt forever. Like if you make one mistake on Robinhood and you completely blow up your account, you're not subject to the negative consequences of that for the rest of your eternity, right? So you have ways to get out of it by declaring bankruptcy. So if you ever find yourself in a situation like that where you're down hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can declare bankruptcy and get out of it. So my point is, your life is worth more than 700K. Yes, you watching this video right now, your life is worth more than 700K. Your life is worth more than $700 million. So don't ever let something like money be such a factor on your life that you would do something crazy or drastic like that, right? So anyways, I'm done talking about this story. It makes me too sad. Now let's move on. So the second thing I want to talk about today is that I think as a society, we should be more open to talking about money. Now, the reason why I say this is that I used to work as a credit card salesman. I'm not sure if you guys knew. So I was one of those guys that would come up to you in a store and bother you about the store credit card. Yeah, I was one of those guys. So, occasionally someone would be interested in a credit card. And when they were, I have to ask them a list of questions, right? So one of the questions on the list of questions was, how much money do you make? And this is always like the most difficult question to ask someone, because I would always get these like death glares. Right? It's like I insulted them or something. It's like, they don't want to answer this question, right? Because they don't want people to know how much they make. But I would guarantee, like 9 out of 10 times, they make more money than me, right? Because I was a credit card salesman, I was making like minimum wage. So as long as you had any half decent job, you were making more money than me at that point. So to me, there was no reason to be so embarrassed to talk about how much money you make, especially in front of someone who makes obviously much less than you. And the reason why I say that as a society, we should be more open to talking about money is that I believe a lot of you watching this video right now probably have an office job, right? So if you have an office job and you're doing relatively the same things as probably your team members or your coworkers, and if you don't know how much money they're making, then it's really possible that you could be making a lot less money than them for doing the exact same job, right? So if everyone in a workplace knew how much money each other made, then you would have more leverage to negotiate with your boss for a raise, right? So if you're finding out that Brad from accounting is making 10K a year more than you for like absolutely no reason because you're doing pretty much the exact same job, then you could really use that as leverage towards your boss to be like, hey, so-and-so is making this much money and I think that I deserve this as well. But right now we have a case where everyone's in the dark and no one knows how much money each other makes. So it's like if you walk into your boss's office like, I want a raise, and your boss is like, why? And then you're like, I don't know, because I do good work. And then your boss could be like, well, Brad does good work and he makes the same amount of money as you. Well, and then you're too afraid to like verify with Brad or anything like that, and you don't know how much money he makes in the first place, right? So I think that overall, if we're all more open about how much money we make, then I think as a society we have like workers would get more leverage. So full disclosure, I'll lead the way. So before I got fired from that startup in Toronto, I made 60K a year Canadian before taxes. Now see, how hard was that? Now it's your turn. Now you guys don't actually have to tell me how much money you make, by the way. Don't like post it in the comments or anything like that if you're not comfortable with it. My point is that next time if somebody asks, just don't treat it as a taboo, right? Just be a little bit more open about it. And the last thing that I want to mention is that, as a society, people kind of use money as a way to flex, right? Or as a way to like impress others or anything like that. But I don't think that that's the right way you should approach money. So the way that I approach money and the way that I think will get you to financial independence and retire early the fastest is think about money as a representation of value that you provide to society. So that's a mouthful. Let me break it down exactly what I mean, right? So for example, if you work at Microsoft, and you're a software engineer or something, you make like what, 100 grand, 200 grand a year. That's how much value you provide to society as deemed by society, right? Because there's a need for like a Microsoft software engineer. Now, if you work at, let's say, McDonald's and you make minimum wage. So minimum wage here in Ontario is $14 an hour. So $14 an hour is what society deems that your work is worth at McDonald's. Now, I don't want to get into this whole debate about whether or not minimum wage workers should be paid more, or is $14 enough, or should they paid even more, or should they be paid less, right? So that's a whole nother debate altogether, but I'm just reporting on the facts here. And the fact is that if you work at McDonald's as a cashier, $14 an hour is exactly how much society values you, and no more, no less. So if you're okay with that, then by all means, continue to work at McDonald's, and if you think that you're providing society with enough value, right, and you're being valued for your work. But if you don't think that you're being valued for your work, then maybe you should think about transitioning to some other way that you can provide value to society. So there's this thing called the 80-20 rule, where it's just that 80% of your effort achieves 20% of your success, and the other 80% of your success comes from 20% of your effort, right? So if you think about your life, and all the successes and all the things that you've achieved, it probably came from a very small amount of work that you did, right? Only 20% of your work. Now, 80% of what you do on a daily basis is probably pretty useless, right? And it only contributes to 20% of your success. Now, when I look at my own life, that's certainly the case, right? Because, building a YouTube channel and filming the video, it takes a lot of time. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't take up 80% of my day. So by that logic, the majority of the value that you provide to society probably comes from that 20% of effort that you put in, which means that if you just hone down that 20% and what exactly is, and you just focus on that 20% and focus less on that 80% that's not really yielding you that much value, then you can achieve FIRE a lot faster. So achieving FIRE is all about transitioning from a net consumer of value to a net provider of value. So obviously you would consume value by spending your money, right? Because you need to eat, you need somewhere to live, and you need all these things. So you need to spend some of the value that you've earned as well, right? By spending your money. But if you transition to a point where you actually provide society with more value than what you take out of it, then I think you're at the point where money would naturally flow to you. So you just gotta find some task or some job that would actually benefit society more than what you would consume and take out of it. And that's really like on a holistic level, on a grand level, how you achieve FIRE. So yeah, anyways, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully that video has given you some more insights, and hopefully you liked that video. And if you did, please hit the like button because it does help out with the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing if you like this series. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below in the description, and be sure to DM me your questions if you want to be included in the Q&A. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!